Hi, everybody. My name is Richard Burns, and this is the Broken Responder Podcast. I am your host and founder of the Broken Responder. And today, for episode 4, we have a special guest with us. And Jordan Steinke is with us today. She used to work for Fort Lupton Police Department. She's gone on to other things right now, still doing great things. But Jordan has a story, and I want the world to hear it because just like all of us, we've gone through some crap. And Jordan, the floor is yours. Like, if you don't mind, just run us through your critical incident and what happened. And then kind of after that, we'll get into kind of some different questions, if you don't mind.
Absolutely, yeah. So like Richard said, my name is Jordan Steinke. I was a police officer in Colorado for 5 years. The most recent agency I worked for was Fort Lupton Police Department. It is a kind of small suburban area just north of Denver. I had a really amazing experience with Fort Lupton PD in and of itself as an agency. I have nothing poor to say about that agency. The incident that I was involved in effectively ended my career in law enforcement in Colorado. And I'm willing to talk about it because there's a couple of reasons. A, I want to make sure no one makes the same mistakes that I made. The mistakes that I made almost cost several people their lives. And that's just not a price that anyone should be willing to pay. And secondly, I really want to make sure that the first responders in Colorado and everywhere are aware of the organizations, the nonprofits, just the resources that are able to help you. Because there is no time where you feel more alone than when you are battling your demons at 2:00 in the morning.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, I would never wish that on my worst enemy, and I can't stand the idea that you, Richard, or anyone else has ever thought that they were alone after going through a critical incident. It's the most horrendous feeling, and I have to make sure that, I do everything I can to let people know that there are resources available, that I'm available, and you are never alone, no matter how much it feels that way, no matter what time of day or night. So I really just, I want to be honest about my story. I want to be transparent about it. I will only talk about the things that I experienced and that I went through. I will not speak for other officers involved. That's their story to tell.
Perfect.
So, where we can go ahead and get into it if you want.
So I guess you and I, like we said, we talked a little bit on the phone. So yours happened September 16th of 2022.
That's
and I know kind of we talked a little bit about it, but how did how did your call start for your critical incident?
Sure thing. So I was working Graves at that time. 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And at the time the call came out, me and all my partners were sitting at the PD. It was relatively early. We were only in about an hour into our shift. It was a Friday night, so we knew we were probably going to get into shenanigans because...
Right, it always happens.
Yeah, well, and, me and my team, and they're all friends to this day. I love those guys. I would die for them in a heartbeat. We were just shit magnets.
Right, yeah. If something bad was going to happen, you were involved.
Yeah, for sure. We were really proactive officers, and we were proactive, but we never got ourselves into anything that we didn't know that we could handle.
Sure.
They are the most competent officers that I've ever worked with. And, I'm blessed to be able to still call them my friends, let alone the idea that we sweated blood and,
right.
cried.
All the stuff. Yeah. Heck yeah.
For sure. So at the time the call came out, we were all sitting at the PD. People were catching up on paperwork. It was, a couple of days into our work week, and the call came out as a disturbance with weapons. And I know each state and a lot of times each agency will, list different categories of calls as different things.
Sure.
For us, it was just a disturbance with weapons, which meant people were fighting and, there were weapons involved. So as soon as, at the time we were running a CAD system called Spillman, and I'm sure people are familiar with it.
That wonderful piece of software.
Yeah. I think whenever your call hits the screen on Spillman, there's that click that you hear in your nightmares.
Right.
So we heard the click, and we had a big screen in squad room, and so we heard the click, we knew a call hit, and we looked up, and just to figure out where we were going, because the call hits the screen before dispatch actually starts saying what it's about. So we knew it was time to go.
Right.
So there were 4 of us on that night. There's 3 officers and a sergeant. So the 3 officers, run out, and we knew we were going to start heading to the location. The disturbance with weapons and the notes that we were getting from dispatch was saying that there was a road rage incident where one driver had displayed a firearm to another driver, and that both the suspect and the victim were continuing northward out of our jurisdiction. So we weren't sure if we were going to be able to catch either of them, but we knew at some point in time someone probably was, because we have neighboring jurisdictions, and that's in Weld County. So all of the same agencies are on the same CAD system. We all run the same primary radio channel. So everyone would hear what was going on, and we knew people were still going to be looking out for it because it's a priority 1 call. So we all start heading north, and I'm not sure how I ended up getting there as quick as I did. One of my partners we all knew was the slowest squad car in our entire fleet.
So there's always that one slow one.
But she was reliable.
There you go.
She would get there for sure. So I end up getting out of our jurisdiction first. And right around that time, a neighboring jurisdiction keyed up and said that they were sitting on Highway 85, which is where the incident occurred. Highway 85 is kind of one of the main arteries that connects basically Colorado Springs. It may go further south, I'm not sure, to the Wyoming border.
Okay.
So we knew it was on Highway 85, and he got on the radio and said, "Hey, I'm sitting on 85. I'll keep a lookout." And not too long after that, he keyed up again and said that he located the suspect vehicle and that he was going to attempt a traffic stop. So we knew that we had to get to him because, to the best of our knowledge, the crime occurred in our jurisdiction, but we weren't really sure.
Sure.
There's time between when something bad happens, someone calls 911, dispatch is able to put notes in, get officers attached to it. There's time in between. So it could have happened in Adams County.
Right.
We really had no idea. And Fort Lupton is right on the border between Weld County and Adams County.
Okay.
So we were just going to head north and see, and just be there if, she did decide to stop. She took from the time that he lit her up, she took about 1.5 miles to pull over. Not full on eluding, but definitely not stopping.
Right. She wasn't going to stop willingly, like right away.
Not right away, and it was around 7:00 at night on a Friday night. There was pretty heavy traffic, but there was still really ample time for her to stop.
Okay.
She, for whatever reason, didn't want to stop right when the lights came on. It was getting dark, so we knew for sure that she did see the reds and blues. But she made the decision that she made. So when she finally did decide to stop, she pulled over on a rural county road. And when I say rural, I mean that there's no artificial light whatsoever.
Okay.
This is around 7:30 p.m. in September. So the sun,
so it's dark.
it should, like the days are definitely getting shorter. So it's dark. And it was so dark out there. And the way that this county road was set up was that Highway 85 runs north and south. This county road turns directly east and then continues east. It's a dirt road, really, minimal maintenance.
Sure.
So it also crosses over a set of railroad tracks. I think everyone in Colorado is pretty familiar with railroad tracks. I think everyone at some point in time has worked around them.
Right, crossed them, done something.
Yeah, for sure. But the way that this railroad crossing was set up was the road is dirt right up until the point where the cement pad that houses the railroad tracks.
Okay.
So it goes from dirt abruptly to cement, and then maybe there's about 5 feet or so until the railroad tracks, and then cement, and then there's dirt road again.
Okay.
So
So you're out there.
Yeah, it's out there for sure. And when she pulled over on this county road, she pulled over the railroad tracks to where her rear bumper had cleared the tracks.
Okay.
Where there was really no danger of her getting, being parked on the tracks at all. The officer who stopped her, which I would like to reiterate, was not from my agency.
Sure.
He pulled up behind her, and I don't know because I never really got to hear his side of the story. But she may have stopped super abruptly or whatever. But he pulled up right behind her, like maybe 8 feet of clearance between his front bumper and her rear bumper. And he parked his car directly over the railroad tracks.
Okay, yeah, so he's right there.
Yes, and this is his jurisdiction. This is his city that he works
in,
that we're in. And so he calls out that she finally stopped. And I don't remember registering where he said his location was. I just knew that I had to get to him because I knew that this person was very likely armed and that he was completely alone.
Sure.
Me and my partners were the only ones who had, to my knowledge, told dispatch that we were en route to that call. So we were his backup. So I didn't know where I was going, but I knew he had his lights on, so I was just going to find the first set of reds and blues.
And just follow it, go to him.
And follow it and go to it, which I did. I found him. And when I pull up to a felony stop, at this point in time, I had 4 years of experience. However, that was 4 years of experience in very small jurisdictions.
Sure.
I started out at a very small police department. I then went to an even smaller sheriff's office. And now I'm at I guess what Colorado would call maybe a small to mid-sized agency.
Okay.
I had maybe pulled my gun actually on people like 5 times in my entire
Oh, wow. Okay.
And less than that as far as legitimate felony stops.
Okay.
So for all intents and purposes, at that time, I was pretty inexperienced.
Okay.
But I knew when I pulled up that I should expect to see the officer that pulled that person over out of his car with his gun drawn.
Sure.
Threat. When I pulled up, that is not what I found.
Oh, no.
I looked at his car and I saw that his driver's side door was open, but I didn't see him there. And so it took me a minute to realize that he was still sitting in his car. And he had one leg out, but was sitting in his car. And I thought to myself, you are a absolute bullseye right now.
Right? Kind of goes against all the felony stop rules.
Yeah, it does. And so I pulled up and I was already irritated because I felt like he wasn't taking officer safety seriously, and I didn't know why that was. I had never worked with this officer before.
Okay.
But I had heard stories about him. And so far, my experience with him, lined up with the stories that I heard. So I see him sitting there and I don't see him move. So I kind of take it upon myself to get a gun in the fight. Because we still have, very good information that this person is armed.
Sure.
So I go to his passenger side, open up his door, roll down his window. My gun was already drawn. And I kind of just wait because I knew we needed more bodies.
Yeah.
Then things started to move very, very quickly. I had another one of my officers pulled up from my agency. And the only reason why I knew he was there is because I heard him rack his rifle. So that made me feel a little bit more comfortable because to my knowledge, the officer who conducted the stop still didn't have a gun out.
Oh, Jesus.
So my gun was the only one in the fight at this time.
Right.
And then I heard my partner rack his rifle, and I'm like, okay, well, at least, we have my gun, we have a long gun, like, now we're in a little bit better position.
Right.
And then he starts giving her demands over the loudspeaker. He had He had his radio. It was one of those Bluetooth radios that's not like wirely connected to his radio.
Also, like he had a body mic that was Bluetooth.
He had a body mic that was Bluetooth, and he
Okay.
kept bringing his PA system really close to his Bluetooth.
Oh, so all you did is squeak and get that squawk.
Bad feedback.
Oh,
So I couldn't understand his commands, so I know for sure he couldn't.
right.
So he tries that for a little, what felt like forever, but I'm sure it was only 5 to 10 seconds. Excuse me. And then he realizes it's not working, so he just decides to yell, which is fine. So he starts giving her commands to get out of the car. And now that she's out of the car and she's still got her cell phone in her hand, she's facing away from us with her hands up. Now we start thinking about, who's going to go hands on with her. Well, the guy who pulled her over has seniority. He was a sergeant
Sure.
with that neighboring agency, and it was his traffic stop. So, and he's giving commands. So I know he's not going to go hands on with her. My
Right.
partner has a rifle, and I mean, it's not entirely impossible for you to handcuff someone with a rifle, but it's still not easy.
It's not best. It's not a best practice.
Exactly. And then on top of it, the suspect is female. So,
You poor gal. I'm sorry.
yeah, I was really used to it at that point of
Right.
people calling and telling me I needed to pat someone down. So I knew you just kind of like looked over my shoulder at my partner, and I think I even audibly said, like, I'm going to cuff her, and he says, okay. So I go around the back of the sergeant's vehicle, come up behind him. I'm trying to give him really communication because I know he's focused. And so I say, hey, I'm right behind you. And he's calling her back. She still got her hands up. He made her put her cell phone on the bed of her truck. And when she put her cell phone on the bed of her truck, I saw a red dot on like the bottom of her phone. We all have iPhones. We all know that means you're probably recording.
Right.
So he tells her to get on her knees and put her hands behind her head, which she does. And then I look at him to make sure he knows that I'm ready. And he nods at me, and so I put my gun away, go up and cuff her. And then I pull her back, as away from where the guns are pointed.
Sure.
The time that I'm moving her from the point where she was on her knees and to the point where I was going to pat her down, she's not like actively resisting me. It's definitely passive resistance. I'm kind of having to yank her to and fro. I had to yank her to her feet. She's asking a lot of questions. I don't know what's going on. I don't understand. Can I have my phone? Can I get my phone? Can I get my phone? Is the question she kept asking. And I said, I'll get you your phone in a second. We just need to figure out what's going on. So I pull her back to the nearest cop car, which was my training. Okay?
Sure.
I know that agencies differ, but the way that I was trained was that you put the suspect in the nearest cop car because you still have an unknown threat in that car.
Yep.
So that's exactly what I did. That car that I was going to temporarily put her in was the sergeant's car that, unbeknownst to me, was parked on railroad tracks.
Oh, no.
I'd like to remind that I was 7 miles outside of my jurisdiction. This was not my traffic stop. I'm not the
Right.
one who, conducted the traffic stop and parked the car. So, she's still asking me questions. I'm patting her down. I asked her, is there a gun in the car? Where is the gun? And she told me there was no gun in the car. And so I said, okay. And then she asked me again for her phone after I get done patting her down. And I said, you can't have your phone right now. I'll be back with you in a second. Put her in the back of the car and, close it. And I go to the front bumper of the sergeant's vehicle because at that time, my partner and the sergeant had already moved forward to clear the car.
Okay.
This is moving very fast.
Yeah, that's quick.
It is really quick. And there was minimal communication, which, is again something that I hold on to as far as like people need to make, not make the same mistakes that I made. You got to talk to your people.
Sure.
And, unless bullets are actually flying, I don't even think the preservation of evidence is that important. I think that if you are on something that is that high stress and that fast moving, I think it is someone's responsibility to slow things down.
Right. And I think we kind of get sucked into that too. Like, because you always like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And then you're like, oh, crap, we went way too fast.
Definitely. And I really feel that about this incident. So I see them going up and clearing the car. So I'm holding long at the front of his bumper to make sure that no other threats pop out, because we still don't know if anyone else was in the car. When they go, they clear the bed, they clear the back seat, they clear the front seat. And then at that point in time, we went ahead and decided to release the channel. We had called priority traffic on the channel. So we released the channel, and then for whatever reason, and I don't know why to this day, all three of us decided to start searching. If I could go back in time, I would want one of us
stay with the car.
To at least stay with the car and stay with the suspect. But the reason why that happened is because I trusted the people that I was on this scene with. I trusted that they had put their equipment in a safe place.
Right.
And that was a really fatal flaw. So we're all searching the car and looking for evidence of the crime. And my partner, who was with my agency, decided he was going to go put his rifle away, because it's not, digging through a car with a rifle swinging between your legs is not...
Yeah, not feasible. It's not fun.
Especially a guy.
Yes.
You guys have some more equipment that you got to worry about. So he leaves to go put his rifle back in his car, and it's just me and the sergeant. And he's on the driver's side of the suspect's vehicle. I'm on the passenger side. We're talking through the back seat. And I'm asking him, did you see her throw the gun? Did you see anything? And he's like, I don't know. She took forever. He just kept saying she took forever to pull over. She took forever to pull over. My eyesight's not good. I don't know if she threw anything out the window. And so I'm like, okay. About that time, and this moved so quickly, it still blows my mind. About that time, I look to my left, and all I see is this enormous bright light.
Oh, shit.
And I don't have any other way to describe it other than just a wall of steel. And I knew it took a couple of seconds, or I guess they were milliseconds, because from the time I realized what it was into the time that the tragedy happened, couldn't have been more than like 2 seconds. But there were so many thoughts that run through your head, in a little short of time. And in that little short time, I realized, oh shit, that's a train. Oh shit, I'm really close to it. Oh my God, I'm really close to it. Like, I'm going to get hit. And so I took off running. And I probably ran maybe 25, 30 feet.
And so you're on the other side of the tracks with the suspect's pickup.
Correct.
Like right just on the other side of the tracks.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
I was, at the actual impact, I was maybe 50 feet.
Holy crap.
And I just remember thinking a couple of things. I remember thinking, oh my God, my partner just got hit. And we were friends at that time. We're even closer now just because of, what we went through. I remember thinking I have to go to his house and tell his son that he's not coming home. I remember thinking, oh my God, how stupid could I be to park my car on railroad tracks? And then I remember also thinking, I think I'm going to die. I think something's going to hit me. Something's going to fly off of the train or the car, and it's going to hit me in the back of the head, and I'm never going to see my kid again.
Right.
My family or the people that I love, and it was the scariest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And so you kind of register what happened, and then I have to be honest, I completely froze.
I could absolutely see that in that situation, though, because, it's just so overwhelming.
It was so overwhelming. And the train horn, and I had worked around train horns my entire career. A train horn was a train horn. I never was close enough to a train for the train horn to be a threat.
Right.
So, and to this day, when I hear a train horn, it doesn't sit well.
I can only imagine.
I've done enough. I've done enough therapy to where I can be okay.
Right. Does it make your hair stand up? You just feel it? You get those spidey senses? It just freaks you out?
it makes me like I'm shaking right now. Just
I'm
talking about
sorry.
it's okay. It just makes me shake. So the train horn, the sound of the collision, the steel, the collision itself had caused the car's horn to just go off and just stay.
So it's just constantly just honking.
So it's the train horn, it's the car horn, it's the sound of the twisted steel, and then I'm watching this car tumble into this field, and I'm just like, what the fuck did I just see? Like,
right?
that's brutal,
Yeah.
And I hadn't even registered at that point that there was someone in that car.
Oh, crap.
I thought it was my car that got hit. So right after the collision, while the train is still trying to pass, and the impact had caused a couple of the cars to become uncoupled, it was a shit show. But the sergeant came running up to me and he was screaming, "Was she in there? Was she in there?" And I'm thinking to myself, no, she wasn't in there. I didn't put her in my car. I put her in your car. And then I look and I can see through the train cars that are still passing as this train's trying to slow down. And I see my very distinctive Tahoe lights. And then it hits me that she was in the car that got hit. And I screamed and I was like, yes, she was in there. We have to go get her. Sorry.
No, you're okay. Take a break. I'm sorry. I get it.
You tell this story so many times, but you never know how it's going to affect you. And so, again, I froze and I couldn't believe that I knew she was dead. I knew she was dead, and I did not want to be the first person to see her, but I also knew I had a job to do. So, we all start running down towards the field. And this is where things get a little choppy in my memory.
Sure.
I know at some point in time I moved. There was a space between the uncoupled cars to where I was able to move my car from one side of the tracks to the other, and I pointed my car at the field, right at the destroyed car, because I wanted my takedown lights.
Right, get a kind of wall of light on it so you can see down there.
I knew fire and medical were going to need it, so we didn't know what we were going to find. So I moved my car, and then I go down there, and the sergeant and my partner had gotten down there before me, and as I'm running down there, I'm just sick, just so sick of what I'm about to find. And I yelled at them, and I said, "Is she conscious?" And then one of them said, "Yes." And I was like, how the hell
right
is this chick alive? It's unbelievable. And I was like, and that's when I took off. I bolted to get there as quick as I could. And by the time I got down there, they had cut out the airbag. And I looked in, and she was bleeding from the head and bleeding from her mouth. She was still handcuffed behind her back. And we had tried to open the door. We had broken some glass just to try to get her out. We didn't know if the car was going to explode. There's just so much going on and so much that you have to do. So I'm just standing there at the window, and I'm begging her to tell me her name. Just begging her to tell me her name. I just wanted to hear her speak. And I needed her to stay awake. And she's moaning and screaming, and at this point in time, the sergeant disappeared. Come to find out, he had left the scene and walked away and immediately called his chief.
Oh, what? Wow.
So me and my partner are, just staying with her because we knew we couldn't get her out. We knew we were going to need fire. And fire and medical showed up pretty quickly. And they get down. I don't know how they got down into the field. I don't know, because I ate shit trying to get into that field.
Oh, I bet. And especially some of those old farm fields close to train tracks. Like, those have steep angles.
There's steep angles. There's barbed wire everywhere. It's a field, so there's just holes, and it was a nightmare. But somehow they got an ambulance down there. And EMS shows up and they're asking all of these questions. They're like, who was driving? Who else was in the car? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, who cares? Get her the fuck out.
Right? Yes, come on.
Who cares? Get her out.
It kind of goes back to the cop questions. Like, why are we asking these questions right now? Like, just get them out.
Literally. And they started getting her out. And me and one of my other partners had showed up at that time. Her sturdy, reliable patrol car finally got her there. And she came down with me, and she was the one who took the handcuffs off of her so that they could put her on the stretcher. And it's a little bit of a blur from there, to be honest with you. The next thing I remember is walking up back to the road, and I met my sergeant, and he asked, was everyone okay? And we all just kind of nod, like, as okay as you can probably imagine after what we just saw. And,
right.
So he looks at me, and he's like, how far were you from the collision? And I was like, 50 feet. And he's like, okay. You're not in trouble, but go back to the PD and dress out. You're going home.
Right.
And I just, I was just devastated.
And it's weird how, like, people, I don't think they understand the gravity of it, because, like, it all hits you at once, and it's like sick to your stomach, like just a pit in there.
I was so sick, and because I didn't want to go home.
I don't blame you.
I wanted to stay with my guys. I wanted to help. And, I talked about this a little bit before, but, as cops, when we show up, it's, we do this and this and this and this. And, we show up to help people. When we were trying to pull her out of that car and trying to get her to stay awake, that is helpless. Helpless. And again, I wouldn't wish that feeling on my worst enemy, because I'm supposed to fix it.
Right.
I'm a cop. I'm supposed to save the day, and it doesn't matter what she did. I was still supposed to protect her.
Still a human being at the end of the day.
Yeah. And, so he told me I was going home. And the partner that had taken the handcuffs off of her was also female. And she's like, come on, you'll ride with me. Like, we'll come get your patrol car later. Don't worry about it. And so she walks me over to her car, and her dash cam was running. And I still have this footage of, she's walking me to her car, and I just stop at her front bumper, and I just lose it.
Oh, yeah. I can't even imagine.
And she takes me by my vest. She looks at me in the eye, and she says, this was not your fault.
Yeah.
And so I just didn't even know what to say. I didn't have words, but she was very adamant. She said, this is not your fault. And, she puts me in the car and takes me back to the PD. And then, policy kicks in. And CBI gets called.
So I guess, so for the listeners, what we're talking about is most agencies have like a critical incident protocol. So like Fort Lupton will not investigate this because like their officers were involved. So like agencies that make up the critical incident team, one of them gets a responsibility, and Fort Lupton tags along as kind of like a babysitter to make sure that their officers are also getting taken care of and all the information's getting like processed. Yeah,
and so CBI is Colorado Bureau of Investigation, which is the largest law enforcement agency in Colorado. It's the state agency. And so their investigators get called out, and then Colorado State Patrol also got called out. And because someone was injured while in custody,
Yep.
they called out their vehicular crimes unit. And it just turns into this. It was just a whirlwind.
Big
that.
fiasco, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't remember getting out of my uniform. I don't remember taking my belt off. I vaguely remember sitting in the squad room and they told us that the CBI guys were on their way. And the partner that actually drove me back to the PD left the PD, left me supervised, but left the PD, went home, got her dog, and then brought it back to the PD.
So that's awesome. Like a little therapy dog to your pet.
Yeah. And I'll never forget, I'm sitting there with the dog in the squad room and CBI walks in and the dog growled at them.
That's awesome.
I petted the dog and I was like, oh, baby, same team, everything's okay.
Right.
But we decided that it wasn't a good idea for me to participate in an interview at that time because I was so messed up.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and so I again was driven home. Where this incident actually occurred was on my route to back to my apartment because I didn't live in the city that I policed in.
Oh no!
Hard rule for me. I will not live in where I cop.
Right. Now you have to drive by this on your way home.
Yeah, so she took me the long way.
Okay, good.
Took me the long way home. And then around 5 o'clock in the morning, my sergeant and my other partner, the guy with the rifle, had gotten my personal car, because we didn't have take-home cars at the time, had got my personal car and brought it back to me. Okay. And I was standing in the parking lot at like 5 o'clock in the morning, the sun's coming up, and talking to them, and I'm still just completely in shock and just dead, just exhausted and can't stop crying. And they looked at me and they said, "This is not your fault." And at some point in time in the night, I don't remember when, it was after I got back to the police department, I was instructed to call an attorney. Shit. And so I chatted with her and had a meeting with her the next day. And then she scheduled my actual interview with CBI 3 days later. Okay. The idea is that they want you to have sleep cycles before you recount the critical incident.
Minimum of at least 3.
Yeah, I did not sleep.
Yeah, I don't think I did either. It's hard.
And I'm talking like 45 hours of no sleep.
Oh, my Lord.
And so I walk into this CBI interview and you think my moving look is bad. You should
just a hot mess.
It's bad. And I just told them the truth. And so they did their report. CSP, Colorado State Patrol, did their report. And both agencies concluded that, no particular officer or anyone was at fault. And so, we got the copies of the reports and we're like, okay, great. And then sometime later, months later, I got a call from my attorney and she said, "Hey, the DA wants to press charges." What? And I'm like, okay, which charges? And she told me assault 2, which is a felony in Colorado, right, and attempted manslaughter,
which is also a felony.
And then a count of third-degree assault as well, which is a misdemeanor. And I got that phone call when I was on my way into the PD to work. And
that day shot.
Yeah. At the time, I was already on kind of restricted duty. Kind
of on a light duty, desk duty status.
Yeah, desk duty for sure. I'll back up a little bit. So after the actual train crash itself, I didn't go to any therapy. I didn't get any help with my sleep. I didn't take any medication. I did nothing. I took 2 weeks off and then I went right back to work. Oh. Yep. And I did that stupidly, but In my mind, it was a good reason because I was so tired of sitting at home alone with nothing but my thoughts and my nightmares and my memories. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I just want to be with my friends, and I was lucky enough to get to work with my friends. So if I'm going to recover from this and if I'm going to feel any ounce of happiness, I have to go back to work and be with my friends.
Sure.
So I did. And the day I get back, my very, very, very first call is a overdosed party in a porta potty right next to the railroad tracks.
Oh, son of a bitch. And I can't.
And
I'm, I'm sorry for laughing, but like sometimes,
no, you
like,
have to laugh.
like
You have to
it's,
laugh.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's so weird how like some of that
That
stuff, like it
that
just
call
comes.
hit the board.
You
That
can't.
call hit the board, and I was like, my luck cannot be this bad.
Oh no.
There's no way. Who did I piss off in a past life? Like,
Yeah.
and of course, like we're like when you're on a dead body scene, it's extended.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're sitting there for an hour or two, waiting on the coroner, securing the scene, talking to witnesses, blah blah blah. And so we finally get to the point where we're done with our investigation, but we're still waiting on the coroner because the coroner had to come from 45 minutes away.
Sure.
There's dead bodies everywhere. Everyone's short-staffed, so we're sitting here waiting. But our entire shift was on that scene. So there's no particular part of a perimeter that I'm holding or anything like that. We're all just kind of standing around. I look at my sergeant, and I'm like, do you need me? And he's like, no, you can go home. Or not home, but he's like, you can leave. And so I cleared the call. I went back to the PD, and I was in the fleet lot, like hyperventilating, dry heaving, just sick.
Yep.
And I was like, I have to get this out of my system before they get back. They can't see me like this.
Yep.
And I knew I could tell on on CAD when everyone was coming back. So I'm like watching the computer, throwing up, watching the computer, seeing when everyone's coming back. I pull myself together and I'm just waiting in the squad room when everyone gets back. And so we're all sitting there and everyone starts paperwork. And my sergeant looks at me and he's like, "You doing okay?" And just fucking lose it. Just done. Like just bawling. Just
it all just comes out.
Comes out, and he's, I'm like, I know I shouldn't be here right now. I know that I'm a liability, but I don't know
where to
I
go.
don't want to go home, and I don't know, what I would do if I even went home, because I'm not going to sleep. I just want to be here with you guys, but I know that I'm a danger to you guys, and I don't know what to do. Sergeant, dude. I wish men thought before they spoke.
I'm guilty.
he looks at me and he gets this like, kind of confused, sad look on his face, and he's like, "Well, don't kill yourself."
Oh no, shit.
Thanks, Sarge. I won't right now.
Right.
Like it and just some of that dark humor, right?
Yes. Oh yeah, that's terrible. We have a lot of it.
So that happened, and then so not too long after that, after I went back to work, we released the body cam from the train crash, and it was edited, for time and just to give people, like the basic idea of what happened, and immediately calls start coming in of people wanting to get in gunfights with us and people wanting to come to the PD and wanting to speak with the officer and tell them what big of a piece of shit they are and just how incompetent Fort Lupton Police Department is. And people are specifically calling dispatch just to chew dispatch's ass over this incident. Like they weren't even there.
Yeah.
Some of them weren't even working. So it just turns into this shit show. And then we ended up getting a pretty credible threat to the point where the FBI started an investigation.
Holy crap.
Saying, I'm going to be here on this day at this time, and I want those officers, and I'm going to kill every one of them. And, like, for whatever reason, the FBI thought it was pretty credible. So at that point in time, my administration decided to pull me off the road for my own safety.
Yeah.
Not that I ever should have been back on the road anyway. But
right.
If they would have tried to pull me off, I would have been like, fuck you. Like,
right.
So, but, they said, this is really for your own safety. We don't want to put you in danger. We don't want to put anyone else in danger. Like let's just put you in the evidence room. So they stuck me in this little cement room.
Oh.
With all this evidence going back decades.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, organize it. And you do that for 12 hours. And so that was my life for a couple of months up until the point that my charges dropped. And when my charges dropped, I had to go into the chief's office and we had to figure out, like, what we're going to do. And like I said, Fort Lupton Police Department backed me in a way that I never expected. And to be honest, really that I feel like I deserved. But, I went into that chief's meeting and he, he was just sitting on the desk with his arm crossed. And he wore a holster on his shoulders, so he had two guns right here.
Okay.
And he just looked so cool. And I'll never be that cool. And he looked right at me and he said, "We are right here in this with you."
Good.
He's like, "We will not stop. We're not going anywhere." He's like, "You will fight this and you will win, and this is the shift that you're going to, and your spot is saved, and no one's getting your job. You have your job, and we're sticking through this."
Fort Lupton PD administration, good job on that one. You definitely didn't drop the ball. Good job.
No, they did amazing. I think for them every day. Like, the fact that I even got to be a part of an agency like that is, incredible, and a lot of people don't get that, especially in Colorado. So, yeah. Time goes on, and me and my attorney, start having these meetings, and we're buckling down, and we're going through, advisement and arraignment, and all the stuff that precludes trial.
Mm-hmm.
And all the while, the way that Fort Lupton had helped me out was they let me max out all of my vacation and sick time, and then they put me on admin leave. So they paid me as long as they could.
Sure.
Which was helpful. But
so now you're on unpaid admin leave as the trial starts.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And I had only been working there for 9 months at the time of the train crash, so I hadn't earned that much time off.
Yeah, there's not much there.
No, so my paycheck stopped really quickly, and I got in a serious financial bind. All the while battling the demons that came from this fucking train. Still no sleeping.
Oh yeah.
And just constant, like the hypervigilance. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, it was every little noise
just sets you off, and you're like hyper aware.
Completely set off, and then on top of it, like I'm still going back to the I had to go back to the PD for like paperwork, or like I was still participating in training even though I was on admin leave, so I'd have to go get my equipment.
Right.
And all of this stuff, and like, so I'm constantly seeing my good friends, and then just the people, other people that I work with, just going about their lives, and I'm dying, just dying. My family got death threats. I got death threats. I had to get rid of all of my social media, which at the time, I'm a millennial, so it was a crisis.
There's a lot of, yeah. Oh man.
So, and I've got like a kid to worry about, and it was a fucking nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. But I knew that I could not quit. I knew that I had to see this through because my partners were counting on me to come back. So, I held on as long as I could, but 2 weeks before my trial, on June 30th of 2023, I had some personal stuff go down that it just broke me. It was little, and it was small, and it was really insignificant, but at my mental state with how little sleep I was getting,
mm-hmm.
And I was in therapy, but it was just surviving at that point. Nothing was healing.
Yeah.
Because the trauma kept coming and coming. Every court date that I had, every meeting with my attorney, every
death threat, all that stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. So it was just constant re-triggering. There was no healing going on. It was just surviving. And one day I just said, I'm done. Like, I can't do this. Like, I can't stand every cop in the nation thinking that I'm an incompetent piece of shit. I can't stand my family being threatened. I can't stand my friends being threatened. When they're still, after all of this, they're still going out and, working their shift.
Yep.
And I'm sitting at home sitting in my shit, fucking like sorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, fuck this. Like, you know, if you want me dead, fine, I'm dead. So I made a decision that I was gonna get in my car and drive just to a place that I had never been before, so that no one would know where to find me. And I ended up going to like kind of like a state park area, and I texted one of my family members who my son was in their care at that time, and I just told her to tell my son that I loved him, and then I turned my phone off. And that was dumb because my friends knew that I was on the edge. They knew that I was in bad shape. So we all had each other's locations.
Right.
And I don't know how or quick it happened or what happened, but the second that they, saw that my location got turned off, there were some of them that were on duty, in that same county.
Yeah.
In Weld County, and so I didn't know what was going on. I got into the back of my car, and I ended up leaving that state park area because I was scared people were gonna find me, and so I went to like a different area, and it ended up being this park and ride off of Highway 34.
Okay.
And I knew that Greeley Police Department did not often check that park and ride because I could always see their calls. I was watching, we would always watch what Greeley was doing because they got into hood rat shit.
Yeah, Greeley's kind of like Pueblo 2.0.
It is. It really is. And their calls were fun to watch. And, we would turn to their channel every now and then and listen to what was going on. And we're like, damn. So I knew they would never go to that park and ride. My vehicle wasn't suspicious. And so I pulled into this park and ride, and I get in my back seat, and I've got my favorite gun, which is my Glock 19, and I'm just sitting back there, just panicking, shaking, staring at my gun, just staring at it. And right when I go to put it up to my head, I catch a movement out of my, corner of my
corner of your eye.
And I look out the window, and there's like a man and a woman doing like a child exchange right next to me. And I'm like, maybe don't do it right this. Maybe we can wait just a second.
Right.
They're probably going through a divorce. Like, let's not traumatize them any more than they already are. So I wait, and they leave, and so I go to do it again. And I had just reloaded that gun 2 days prior to that and replaced the ammo in it. So I knew it was loaded. And for whatever reason, I put it up to my head, and I just took a deep breath, and I pulled the trigger, and all I hear is click.
Oh, shit.
And it really took... I probably sat there for like 2 or 3 minutes of like...
Is this like that final phase where like your mind is... like
I was broken. Like nothing's happening. Like, am I dead? And finally I pull the gun away from my head, and I look at it, and the trigger's depressed.
But nothing happened.
Nothing happened. So I dropped the bag, racked the slide, and then I don't really have an explanation on why I did what I did next. I think it was just my mind kind of on autopilot, but I put the gun back to my head, and I pulled the trigger again, and it was the same click. And I did that probably 50 times.
Holy shit.
So, gun's gonna go click. Rack the slide, gun's gonna go click. I dry fire a lot.
Right.
And something that helped me with my anticipation was, you think the gun's gonna go click, not gonna go bang. So guns, even if it does go bang, you think the gun's gonna go click, you're not gonna anticipate the bang. So gun's gonna go click, gun's gonna go click, gun's gonna go click. And, I do that about 50 times, and I'm like, this isn't fucking working. And I looked down, and I was wearing shorts, and at some point in time, I had cut myself. So my legs were bleeding. And I'm like, who the fuck did that? Like, I was just so scatterbrained and so fucked up that like I don't remember cutting myself. I don't remember driving to the park and ride. I don't remember, however the bullet wasn't in the chamber when it was supposed to be. I don't remember that. Like,
Yeah.
all these things, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? What am I doing? And so I kind of have a moment of like clarity, and I'm like, fuck, I really made a mess. And so I decided to drive back to my apartment. And I remember walking up the stairs to my apartment and going to open my door. My door was white, and I had, like touched my door, and there's just blood on my door. And I just remember like, oh, that's weird. And like, just go in. And I go in and I barricade myself in my bedroom, and I'm just like trying to build up the fucking strength to try this again.
Mm-hmm.
And I get a phone call from the guy that I was dating at the time, and from what I understand, with what he told me, I was talking complete gibberish. But he's like, he kept saying the gun's gonna go click, the gun's gonna go click. And so I remember being on the phone with him. I don't remember what I was saying, but I looked out my window and I see 2 Greeley PD cars pull into my parking lot. Like,
oh no.
Fuck. So, and I was on the phone with him, and I told him, you better tell him to leave right fucking now. I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to deal with this. Like, just leave me alone. Just let me be. Just everyone get the fuck away from me.
Yeah.
And he's, like, trying to convince me to, like, have an ounce of reasonableness, and it's just not there. There's no reasoning with someone when they're that broken.
Yep.
And I'm, telling him, tell him to fucking leave. You better not let them come in here. Don't let them come in here. And then I hear my door at that apartment had a passcode, but you could hear the numbers going in. And I remember hearing the numbers go in, and I'm like, who the fuck is coming in my house right now? It's a bad time. It's a bad time. And a couple of people had my door code, but no one that I thought would just come in the house.
Right.
And then I hear, Jordan, this is Greeley PD. We're here to help. And I'm like, fuck.
So now it just gets compounded, because it's something like, I can't even imagine like how that felt at that time. I
felt so much shame.
Yeah, so, I could definitely see that.
I was so disgusted with myself, and the battle that was going on in my head is, how much of a coward are you going to be right now, Jordan? Are you just going to do this? Like we said, we were going to fucking do this. We made this deal. We told, our son that we loved him, and we said our goodbyes. And, are you going to fucking do this? Are you going to go out, or are you going to quit? Yeah. That's the logic that was going on in my head, is if I didn't kill myself, I was a quitter and a coward. That makes no sense now, me saying it.
But it's weird, the way that your mind plays tricks with you, in those areas. Because, I remember, my internal monologue telling me that, we don't want to wake up tomorrow. We want to die. And, people just don't understand how crazy your own mind is.
It's, that Jordan is very much gone now. Thank God.
Good. Thank God, yeah. So Greeley PD's in your house now.
She was a crazy bitch. So I hear them say, Jordan, Greeley PD, we're here to help you. And I'm still on the phone with my boyfriend at the time. I'm like, get them out. Get them the fuck out. And I could hear so Weld County has implemented a co-responder program.
Sure.
Which is incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Those guys do amazing work. I didn't know that a co-responder was present because I wasn't thinking. And, I wasn't thinking as I'm the subject of a fucking call for service. And and I wasn't thinking that, but I heard his voice. His name was Steve. And then I heard a female voice, but it sounded like it was over a phone. And I just remember thinking to myself, what are you guys doing in here? We don't run towards suicidal people. We don't.
Yep.
We don't do this in Colorado anymore. This is ancient. This has gotten cops killed. What are you doing? You guys, I know I'm not going to hurt you. I could never take another cop's life. not in that situation.
Sure.
Not if I ever have to, but I remember thinking to myself, I know I'm not going to hurt you, but you don't know that.
Yep.
You know I'm armed, and you know I'm broken, and and it's so I was so mad at them. I was fuming mad. I was more mad at them than I was even mad at myself. And I heard the female voice on the phone, and it was my best friend who was on duty at the time, in a super small part of Weld County. And she had watched the call come in. She had watched all the call notes. And she was screaming at me. She's like, Jordan, please don't do this. I need you. Please don't do this. And I'm just so sick of myself that I ever put her through that. But I heard her voice, and, the Greeley guys did a really good job. And they were just like, Jordan, we're not going to hurt you. Like, just please come out. Just drop the gun. Come out.
Yeah.
And I look at the gun, and I'm like, I guess I'm a fucking coward. And I throw it on the bed. And I opened the door because I thought about it. I thought all I have to do is open this door and point the gun at them.
Oh, yeah. Good Lord.
That's all I have to do. And I knew Greeley would do it too. Greeley does not fuck around. That's a Greeley.
Greeley doesn't, just like Pueblo doesn't.
Yeah, so I knew that all I had to do was open that door and point the gun at them, but I just couldn't make those guys do that.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you didn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, me too. Yeah, and so I opened the door and I put my hands up and I said, I'm not going to hurt you guys. And then I just fell. And two of the guys came and picked me up. What I didn't know was one of the guys was an FTO. That poor fucking bastard.
Oh, no.
That's a fucked up call to have to go through in training.
Yeah, as a trainee.
Yeah, that's rough. I feel really bad for that guy, but he did really well. I don't know how much experience he had, but he did really well. And they pick me up, and I start fighting with them because I think they're gonna fucking strap me to a bed. I'm gonna have to go to NCMC. I already know how this is gonna fucking go. I've done this to a million people. Like, get your fucking hands off of me. Don't fucking touch me. Like, I'm not gonna go to the fucking hospital. Just don't. And they said, we're not taking you to the hospital. Just let us pick you up. And they literally picked me up like a baby and set me on my couch.
Oh, no.
Which is also infuriating because I hate being picked up. I'm small. I know it.
Yes, I'm sorry for laughing, but
it's funny.
I've done that.
It
like,
is.
you grab someone and you just pick them up, and it's like, you need a timeout. Just sit down right
I
here.
did not ask for uppies. Do not fucking do that.
No uppies.
No uppies. So they set me on my couch, and I'm just shaking and crying and screaming, and I'm covering my ears. And it's just so loud, and it's quite, like, in the room, it's quiet. The guys are just standing around me, kind of just letting me break. But in my head,
oh yeah,
loud. And just, I'm going through it all again, but it's all over, and it's just the train over and over and over again, and it's the horn, and it's her face and her screams. That's all I can see. It's all I can hear.
And it's just on replay nonstop.
Yeah. And so I'm covering my ears, and I'm like, just make it stop. Please make it stop. Like, I didn't know we were on railroad tracks. I didn't know. And I know you guys think I'm so stupid. I know you think I'm completely incompetent, but I didn't know we were on railroad tracks. I didn't know. And they're like, we know.
Because this wasn't a lit, like, normal intersection. This is like railroad tracks in the middle of the country.
There were no lights. There were no bars. There were no bells. There was a stop sign and a reflective black and white railroad crossing sign.
Yeah.
That was all that was marking that intersection. And so I'm just screaming, I didn't know. And I know you guys think I'm so stupid, and I'm just like, just please leave me alone. Like, just make it stop. And I don't really remember what happened after that. The next thing I remember is I was getting put in the co-responder car. And the co-responder, like, he buckled me in like a fucking baby. Like, I couldn't move.
Oh, no.
I had no motor function whatsoever. And so he had to buckle me in, and he buckles me in, and he looks me in the eye, and he says, hey, I just want you to know that It is an absolute honor that we got to be here with you and to serve you tonight. And I was like, get fucked.
Yeah, it just sounds like a kick in the stomach at that time.
No, it was like I was so low on myself, and I felt so much shame and so much just pain that like you guys, like, you don't have to save me. I'm not worth saving. I'm not. And they didn't take me to the hospital. They fucking should have. There was a definite policy violation there. They wiped the body cam. They sealed the reports. There is absolutely no record of that incident for Greeley PD, as far as I know. And they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to do that. But they did a really good job. Like, those guys, I really do believe that the job's not dead because of cops like that.
Hell yeah. Way to go, Greeley. You did a great job.
They did really good. I didn't think I was worth saving, and they thought I was for some reason. So that happened. And then my therapist got a phone call, not from me, from
Greeley. Oh yeah.
No, from my best friend, the one who was on duty, the one who was,
talking you through. Yep.
Yeah, I ended up going to her house instead of the hospital, and she had to work up until like midnight or at some point in time that night. But her agency let her finish her shift from her house.
There you go.
So on me.
Heck yeah.
Or I'm sorry. Yeah, and so like again, like these law enforcement agencies stepping up in a way that is like unbelievable.
Heck yeah.
So the next day she takes me to my therapist's office, and he's like, "What are we going to do about this, Jordan?" And I was like, "Well, I think I need some help."
Yeah, you're the therapist. You tell me.
Yeah. That's, what happened last night was not good. So I think I need some help. And we brought my attorney in, and we were like, we have trial in 2 weeks. But if she doesn't make it to her trial, it's not going to matter. So we were deciding, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And we decided I was going to go through trial. And then after trial, regardless of the outcome, I was going to go get some more intensive help.
Okay.
So I did. We went through trial, and trial was the most horrendous experience of my entire life. Like, it was absolutely excruciating. What I didn't know was that the train itself had 2 separate cameras on it.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's like that one up front they have like right at that little grill guard level.
Yep, there's that one, and then there's one actually right above that shows like a bigger panoramic view.
Oh, okay.
Of what the train is moving towards. I had no idea, and I don't know why. I'm sure it was probably in Discovery. It had to be, but it was never brought up to me that was going to be presented. So when they played those videos in trial, and keep in mind, this case had gone completely viral on all social media platforms. My attorney was getting calls from Good Morning America, from CNN. Like, it went completely national.
Wow.
So there were tons of news outlets in the courtroom. It was this big old fucking thing. And so they played those videos from the train, and I just was not prepared. I was not prepared. At that time, I had only watched my body cam once, and I think I had to stop because I was going to pass out.
Oh, yeah. I can't even imagine having to try to watch that view.
Yeah.
Let alone your body camera.
Is way more horrendous. Way more horrendous than just my body cam and my dash cam. They played that video, and I swear to God, they turned that volume up as loud as it would fucking go.
Oh, thanks, jerks.
Yeah, the horn was just so fucking loud, and they had to stop the trial because I could not stop screaming. I was sitting at the defense table, leaned over, rocking and screaming, and the judge was like, "Let's go ahead and take a recess." And I I had high heels on and I ran out of that courtroom as fast as I could and went to the bathroom and threw up. And yeah,
Yeah.
it was really bad. So, we went through trial, and the judge ended up um, acquitting me on one of the felony charges. The other felony charge, the attempted manslaughter charge, got dropped by the DA's office, and then it was replaced by reckless endangerment. So when I went to trial, I was actually facing one felony and two misdemeanors instead of two felonies and one misdemeanor. So the judge acquitted me on the felony, the assault two, and convicted me on the two misdemeanors.
So you got third-degree assault and reckless endangerment.
Correct. And third-degree assault is a decertifying misdemeanor in the state of Colorado. So,
Yeah.
before then, my attorney and I had a conversation, and she's like, "Are you willing to entertain a plea deal?" And I was like, "I will do jail time if it means I don't lose my certification. I will sit in jail for 30 days. I don't fucking care. I just don't want to stop being a cop. I have to see this through."
Right.
But the DA was adamant that he wanted my certification. So that's what happened.
I can't even imagine that. Like, I think like you, when we were talking on the phone, like that trial just was brutal, especially for you. 'Cause like, it's kind of like everything deep, dark nightmares, the stuff that like you can't sleep because of. And like, they just put it on display for everybody to see.
Yeah, not everyone gets the worst day of their life, on 5 different camera angles.
Right. And then it's on repeat after that. And it's just, I'm sorry, that had to be miserable.
It was horrendous, and like, I don't know. I wonder if it's some kind of, blessed curse, even, because the worst day of my life will forever be on the internet. It'll never go away.
Yeah.
And that's awful, and I've come across it a couple of times, and it's it sucks, but at the same time it'll always be there for people to learn from.
Yeah.
And if that's
Uh-oh. Did I lose you? Did it freeze? Let's see here. Sorry, folks. I got a little bit of technical difficulties. Jordy's computer at home died, and looks like she's plugging it back in and rejoining us. Man, I can't even imagine what this poor girl went through. Wow. Uh-oh, let me see. Where did my people? Oh, let me see if I gotta send her the invite back again. Nope. Let in. There we go. You do this and this.
Yeah, man.
We're back. It always works. That's okay.
I'm sorry. So anyway, yeah, trial was awful.
Okay.
Horrible. But so we get through trial and we get the guilty verdict, and it is just, like, completely devastating.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, I couldn't even imagine how like devastating that would be. I mean, like, we're in there all the time and you hear like the gavel drop and you're like, yes, it's done. But like on your own though, like for your stuff to like get told that, hear the gavel drop, like just that pounding on the the desk, I couldn't even imagine like how that felt.
There wasn't a pound.
And
I'll be
no
honest.
click or anything.
No, he was it was a 5-day trial. And we, both sides rested on a Thursday, and then he said, "Okay, everyone show up at 10 a.m. tomorrow, and I'll have my verdict." By the way, I elected for a bench trial as opposed to a jury trial because me and my attorney's argument was the charges that the DA decided to go with. We knew they were going to have a hard time making them fit anyway, but
Right. But trying to
we
explain that to a jury of your peers and
correct.
get a non-biased jury of your peers,
Yeah. And with how much media coverage it got,
you'd
we
have to
knew it
move
was
that.
going to be spotty. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to move that trial out of state.
And so our argument was the basis for those particular charges is reckless. And so the legal definition in Colorado revised statute of a reckless mindset is the conscious disregard of a known and unjustifiable risk. Our argument was that this was not a conscious disregard of a known unjustifiable risk because the risk was not known. I did not know I was on railroad tracks. Because I did not know that, I cannot consciously disregard it.
Sure.
We thought that would be a lot easier to explain to a judge who is supposed to be an expert in the law.
Right. And unbiased.
Correct. And, a jury, we just thought that legal argument may be a little difficult for them to understand.
Sure.
And so, we had some amazing expert witnesses. We had an expert on like actual felony stops. And this person testified that I did absolutely everything by the book for a felony stop.
Okay. Good.
And then we had an expert in like the stress responses that your body goes through. Not necessarily tunnel vision, but the actual exclusion of physical of visual and
audio or the audio. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, we had those expert witnesses. They were incredibly credible. And it just didn't matter. Someone had to pay for what happened. And I don't even think I mentioned, she lived.
Yeah. Yep. Sorry.
It's okay.
We talked about it on the phone.
Yeah. But she did live. She did survive.
That's good.
She did suffer a traumatic brain injury, but for all intents and purposes, she is perfectly fine, perfectly normal, living a great life. So, that's why I wasn't charged with murder.
Yeah. No kidding.
But so, we get the guilty verdict. It is what it is. And, at that point in time, that battle was over. It was now we have to save my life because now I really have a good reason to kill myself.
Yep.
And so we meet with my therapist and we start thinking of places that I could go. And we ended up settling on a treatment facility called Chateau Recovery. It's in Midway, Utah. And they have programs that are very specific to first responders and military.
Okay.
And I was able to get a bed there. They made room. They made room for me.
Awesome.
Which is insane. And I spent 31 days in that facility. So for my first week, I wasn't allowed to have contact with the outside world at all. So no phone, no social media. I wasn't allowed to leave the facility. It was
just stuck there.
Just me and my demons.
Yep.
And it was absolutely horrendous. The best, worst 31 days of my life. Like, it was awful, but incredible at the same time. When I very first got there, I walked into that facility and they had like intake stuff that they need to do. And I just kind of like just sit back and just like let them ask their questions. And it's very like yes or no, or, like not really describing anything that's going on. And we kind of finished with the intake stuff and I just sit back in my chair and I'm like, how good are you guys at your job? And they're like, well, we'd like to think we're pretty good at it. And I was like, good, I hope so. I'm going to give this absolutely everything I have. I will hold nothing back. But if this does not work, I'm going home and I'm ending my life. I'm just
holy crap. Right. Yeah. Cause it's so much.
Yeah. I was like, I can't do it. If this doesn't work, nothing is going to save me and I'm not worth saving anyway. So, if you guys do your best, I'll do my best. But if this doesn't work, I have my plan and I'm sticking to it. And I've already failed at killing myself once, and I will not fail again. So, this is it. And they're like, okay, let's not look that far ahead. Let's just make it.
Right.
How about that?
Yeah.
And so it is the whole thing. It is no sharp objects, no.
Like the turtle suits, kind of, the green pajamas and
Just about everything but that,
Okay.
It is it's very intense. And so no alcohol, no drugs. They, they draw your blood. They, monitor everything that you're eating, drinking.
It's a pretty intense program then.
It was very intense, very intense. And then I had already been on medication before that. And so, but the medication that I was on, that facility didn't allow because they were controlled substances.
Okay.
So we had to completely redo my medication regimen, which fucked me up. So,
what did they have you on that was controlled?
Ambien.
Was it like, for the sleep stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they moved to and then I, to be honest with you, I've taken so many medications, I honestly don't remember. I know I was on Seroquel at one point. Like, I was on so many different antipsychotics and antidepressants and anti-anxiety that it was just this like awful cocktail. And I was never abusing the medication. That's never been something that, I would do. I've never been a person who's been at risk for addiction. So
sure.
It wasn't.
But it's terrible when they give you that many pills.
Yeah.
Like, and every day at different times and.
Yeah. And so, but we had to completely redo all my medications when I was in that facility. And so not only am I, going to all these, group therapy and individual therapy and EMDR and neurofeedback and fucking you name it, they had us on it. And then they're, introducing all these different medications, what's working, what's not. I actually ended up going through something called serotonin syndrome, which is horrible experience. Like, your body, you feel like you are going to explode. You are so uncomfortable in your own skin. I don't know how to describe it. It is, your body is completely rejecting every bit of input that it's getting. Your skin hurts, but it feels like it's falling off. Like, your teeth hurt, your eyeballs feel like they're going to jut out of your head, like your ears feel like you're going to explode. You can't hold.
Is that from the medication withdrawal?
Yeah. It's not from the withdrawal. It was from the particular medications I was on.
Oh, okay. So that cocktail kind of like, you're kind of going like through a drug addict, like on that down slope, and it is miserable.
Oh my God, it was so bad. And I just remember laying in bed in my first couple of nights at Chateau, and I couldn't hold still. Like, I was just so just sick and uncomfortable, and like I couldn't keep my legs still. Like, it's like restless leg syndrome in your entire body.
Oh man.
I would be up at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning nonstop doing push-ups in my room trying to get this shit out of my system because I could not stop moving. And my poor roommate, fuck, like.
Yeah. Would you go to sleep already?
He's just trying to sleep, like.
Yeah,
go to good shit.
Yeah.
So, and I couldn't have my Ambien, so it was just miserable. So, my first night at Chateau was absolutely miserable. My second day there, so once a month, and every Saturday they do things called sweat lodges, and then they also do ice baths.
Okay.
So my very first morning at Chateau, I did the ice bath, which was awesome. I have an ice bath. I have a $400 cooler now.
Yes.
I still use it to this day. It is like the most incredible. I love ice baths. People think I'm absolutely psycho. It's the only thing I miss about living in Colorado is I didn't have to manage my ice bath.
Right.
Now I'm in Florida and it's hot as fuck here. So,
yes.
But we did the sweat lodge also that same day. And what a sweat lodge is it is a kind of like an Indian practice, a Native American practice, where they stick you in a little tiny like igloo, but it's covered in blankets.
Yep.
And they have a fire in the middle with really hot stones, and they're these very sacred stones. It's a very spiritual experience. These stones are like blessed, and they're, you could see them glowing, and and it's completely dark in there, and you're just sitting in there with 20 strangers, and everyone's just sweating. and it gets so fucking hot in there. Like I can't even think of what the hottest sauna you've ever been in and times it by 10.
Right.
And it turned into a hallucinogenic experience for me because we were in there for probably 3 hours.
Oh man. So it is just, you are sweating out all those meds though right now though.
I was sweating all the meds out, and I did that on my first day. My first day in treatment.
Crap.
And they were like, you said that you were going to take this really seriously, and because you can elect out of it, you don't have to do it. And I was like, no, I'm fucking doing this. Like, everything that you guys have, I want it. Like, whatever treatment you have, whatever avenue, whatever voodoo shit you have, like,
right, let's do it.
Let's do it. I will accept a lobotomy at this point if I don't have to feel this way anymore. And so I did the sweat lodge, and I was screaming in the sweat lodge, just like acid coming out of my soul.
I can only imagine.
Screaming all those demons out, and just like, just all the pain. And because when your body is in that state of like fight or flight and panic, they purposefully put you in that space to where your central nervous system has no choice but to expel whatever's poisoning it. So that sweat lodge was absolutely miserable, but I got out and I felt amazing.
Heck yeah.
So I know I'm taking up a ton of your time. I'm really sorry.
Oh, no, you're okay. I'm here to listen to your story.
Yeah, it's a long one.
It's okay.
But so as treatment goes on, they did a really good job. I had some really amazing therapists, and then I just met some really incredible people there. And the interesting thing about Chateau is they have their first responder program, but when you're participating in the therapy sessions, you're not exclusively with first responders or military. There's normal people in there who are struggling with anger, suicidal ideation, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, violence. Like it's a treatment center. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's rehab.
Okay.
And so I'm meeting all of these amazing people from all of these walks of life, and in any other situation, they very well could have been the people that I was arresting on a day-to-day basis. But
right.
Now we're together in this fucking shit show of all of us battling our demons, and I hear the most incredible stories out of these people. And I'm just like, it was so eye-opening to hear the struggles that they went through, but also to watch them accomplish things as their therapy, started.
Heck yeah.
And it didn't work for some people, like there were people who left early. There were people who got kicked out. There were all kinds of situations. Like everyone's trauma is different, and everyone responds differently to treatment. And
yep.
But I bonded with so many of those people there. And then when I got to the point where I told my story, everyone was like,
damn,
like, fuck, like you really went through it. And I'm like, I heard your story yesterday. You went through it. Like, nothing compared to you.
Right.
And it's just this congregation of support.
Yeah.
People who are at their absolute lowest point, but they still manage to be there for each other. And it was just, again, the pain that I had to face while I was in treatment was brutal. And there's no way around that. But the people that I met and the stories that I heard and, the successes that I got to see was 100% worth it.
So was there any specific therapy there that helped you more, or was it just kind of like a conglomerate of like talk therapy, EMDR therapy? And I guess for everybody listening that has never heard of EMDR therapy, Jordan, correct me if I'm wrong, but how mine is it's similar to talk therapy, but you basically have like these two paddles in your hand that kind of look like teardrops, and they pulse and vibrate back and forth between your left hand and right hand. And as you're going through your traumatic event, your eyes are closed and like these paddles are pulsing, and you can literally feel your eyes going back and forth in your head. And it's basically reprogramming your brain, and taking like information that you either knew after the event, and you're like plugging that back in to like help rewrite it in your brain.
Yeah, what it did for me, my experience with it, you're absolutely right. What I felt with it was it helped rewire my brain to the point where I recounted the traumatic events and they no longer elicited an emotional response.
Yep.
So for whatever reason, whenever I would recount the traumatic event before I went through EMDR, it would cause my central nervous system to go into complete fight or flight, and I wasn't able to process the information that was in my head. It wasn't making sense, and so my brain would go on this loop of, okay, we're going to go through it again, and maybe it'll make sense this time. We're going to go through it again, it'll make sense this time, and it never did. EMDR activates both sides of your brain at the same time to where you can process the information, and it's no longer not making sense. It's just an event that happened.
So, to where basically, like you and I talking about it, it's just like a casual conversation, not like we want to go hide in a corner, basically.
Correct, yeah. And so, the EMDR was great. It wasn't life-changing for me. I really benefited from the ice baths in particular. There's something about sitting in pain, physical pain. And I think that's probably why I ended up cutting myself during my suicide attempt, because I needed to feel something other than emotional pain. And so it's the same, like we get tattoos, right?
Right.
Stuff like that. Like tattoos are widely known. They can be a therapeutic thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the ice bath is very similar to that, to where it brings you back into your body and you are grounded. So instead of being lost in the traumatic incident and, in these horrible flashbacks to where you can't take any input of what's actually going on in that moment, you're just back in the event. In the ice bath, you are forced to recognize, oh my God, this hurts so fucking bad.
I can only imagine, right?
Yeah, it's extremely painful. It really is. And there have been some ice baths that I've done, and I can always tell where I am in my healing on like how bad the ice bath hurts. Like if I can do like a 15-minute ice bath at 45 degrees, we should probably go talk to someone. We're not doing very well. But
right.
The more it hurts, that means the more you can be conscious of your body.
And
where you are in that moment, and you're not being drugged back into this horrible thing. And it's just, it's a grounding technique is basically what it is. Some people some people who have anxiety disorders or things along those lines will hold ice cubes, or they'll sniff essential oils. And those are basic grounding techniques where it brings you back into your current moment. Because in your current moment, your life's not in danger. You have more reason to be in fight or flight, and you have to convince your central nervous system that you are safe in this moment, even if your head is going back to a place where your life is in danger. That's not what's going on right this second.
Yeah.
So that was hands down the most beneficial thing that I experienced was the ice baths. Neurofeedback did really help for me too.
And I'm not familiar with neurofeedback. Like, is that similar to talk therapy, or which one is that one?
Neurofeedback is a little more similar to EMDR. It goes back into the point of like rewiring your brain and trying to activate certain portions of your brain. The way that neurofeedback was explained to me was that it's training your brain to no longer have an emotional response to a certain stimuli.
Okay.
So, a lot of times people who have gone through severe traumatic events, they disassociate and they go back into the event. What neurofeedback does is you have these little sensors put all over your head, and my particular therapy may be a little different than other people's neurofeedback experience, but the way that they did it for me was they sat me in a very comfy chair and they put on Netflix, and then they put the sensors on my head. And what neurofeedback does is it gives you're wearing headphones, and it gives you an audio and a visual stimuli whenever your brain is at a certain wavelength.
Okay.
So what that ends up being to your brain, it's training your brain to go after the reward of the stimuli. So when your brain is in an incorrect wave and it's not acting the way that it's supposed to act, the screen would dim. And and then whenever my brain waves would go back to the way that they're supposed to be, the screen would lighten up and I would get a click.
Oh, okay.
It was training my brain. It's almost kind of like clicker training for dogs.
Sure.
Where
it's kind of crappy to think about it that way, but if it works, yeah.
Animals are animals, man. We're animals. So that really helped me a lot. I went through like 40 sessions of
Wow.
neurofeedback, and
Okay.
it does a similar thing to where it trains your brain to no longer be in a state of fight or flight.
Okay.
So the neurofeedback, the EMDR, the ice baths, and then the talk therapy that I was going through, and the particular parts of the program where you have to really kind of look at the stuff that you've gone through, and you have to write it down. You have to write letters, and you have to admit things, and you come to all these realizations. I mean, everyone's treatment program is different, but it was all of it together ended up being a perfect storm of getting me back to the point where I was no longer a danger to myself.
Okay. Good. See, kind of like a new homeostasis, basically a new normal.
I'll never be the same,
Yep.
after what I went through. And then on top of it, when I got back from treatment, I still had to go to my sentencing hearing.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah. So that was a big part of my treatment program, was like, how can we best prepare her for, because we have no idea what her sentence was going to be. I was facing 10 years in prison.
For third degree. Oh, well, I guess for the original charges,
For the
yeah.
original charge, yeah. For the felony, the assault 2, I was facing 10 years. So I was
Jesus.
acquitted for that. I don't know what the sentence was, like what the sentencing terms were for the assault 3 and the reckless endangerment. I didn't care, because all I could think about was the fact that I lost my certification.
Sure.
So, but we still knew that we had to prepare me for whatever the judge was going to hand down. So that was a big part of my treatment program while at Chateau was, let's get her to the point where she can go into that sentencing hearing and she can hold her head high and she can, take accountability.
Sure.
And, let's just get her past this. So we did. And I went into my sentencing hearing and I wrote a speech where I vehemently apologized to the victim and her family, and to my friends and to my family on what I put them through, and just really talked about how I was going to make some good out of this horrific thing.
There you go. Heck yeah, there's always got to be a positive side.
Mm-hmm. And so the judge ended up sentencing me to 30 months of supervised probation, 100 hours of community service, and then there was court fines and
all the fees and everything else.
Yeah. I wasn't ordered to pay any restitution because there was a pending civil case, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And the prosecution acknowledged that the victim was likely going to get restitution from that, so they didn't order that I had to pay her any, which I'm grateful for. I'm not going to talk about what happened in the lawsuit because I don't.
Sure. Yeah. No. We'll leave that be.
Yeah. But so on a positive note out of all of this was I recently completed my probation 8 months early.
Heck yeah. Congratulations.
My sentence wasn't supposed to be up until March of next year, and I just completed it at the beginning of this month. I did all my community service. I paid all my fines. They also ordered me to attend mandatory therapy. They did not acknowledge any of the inpatient or previous therapy that I had gone to.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
What the?
Yeah. So by that time I had, moved down here to Florida, and so I had to complete most everything from my probation down here.
Okay.
But I did. And now I am 2 weeks away from receiving hopefully, if I pass the test, receive my Florida law enforcement certification. So
congratulations, getting back into it.
Yeah, if I am anything if not stubborn.
There you go.
And I've gotten the majority of the feedback I've gotten from down here in Florida on my particular incident has been positive. I have gotten some good stuff too. And, that's to be expected because I think anyone who hears this incident is A, going to have questions, and B, going to have an opinion on what they would have done differently that night.
Sure.
And everyone's allowed to have that opinion, but you weren't there.
Yeah, I think it's so crazy how we always like Monday morning / armchair quarterback each other. Like you see something happen on the news and you're like, oh, what the? Yeah, thanks. But we never really get the behind the stories like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I have had opportunities before this particular opportunity that you offered me to talk about this stuff. And I've been very selective on who I talk about it with. And there's a reason for that. The opinions, everyone's going to have an opinion on what happened. Everyone's going to have an opinion on what they would have done differently, regardless of whether or not they have any law enforcement experience. Everyone's entitled to that opinion. The only time that I will expose myself and my piece, the piece that I've worked so hard for, to any scrutiny is by people who I know will learn something.
Sure. Yeah.
So there's, I've been offered opportunities to be on documentaries. I've, had opportunities to go on news outlets.
Well, I appreciate you trusting me to do this for you. That's you're my first interview, so I'm happy anyway with just being able to talk to you, because when I think it was one of your friends reached out to me on Facebook when I posted in Blue Lives Matter Colorado. She was like, I have a friend you need to talk to. And I was like,
a friend who was on the phone the night I tried to kill myself.
And I was like, okay. And then she's like, here's your number, call her. And I'm like, okay. And then when I talked to you, I was like, holy, like, I can't say that I remember. I mean, I know what incident you're talking about because I remember it, but like, you never get the after, like, what really happened.
Yeah. So, and we didn't even get into, like every little detail that happened that night. And I don't think, if we were to do that, we'd be here for hours. And,
sure.
But there are so many little tiny things that may or may not have changed the outcome. But what I sit with now is that it happened the way it happened for a reason.
Yeah.
And it is my responsibility to make some good out of it, because it was horrific, and it was brutal. And everyone involved could absolutely say that they were a victim of something. And I refuse to do that. I refuse to be a victim of it. I refuse to be, to sit in my sorrows and say that the system failed me, because of my convictions. I won't say that. What I will say is, this is what I went through and this is what I overcame. And if anyone goes through a fraction of what I went through and thinks they can't overcome it, they are seriously underestimating themselves, because the human spirit is truly unbreakable.
Yeah.
Like it is, and it's completely up to you. And even if it's sheer fucking like visceral grit that is getting you through it, the point is that you're still getting through it.
Yeah.
And there was a really, really, really long time where I simply existed out of spite. I can't even kill me, so you're definitely not killing me.
I'm sorry to laugh. That's that law enforcement dark humor. Yeah, terrible.
I can't do it. You're damn sure not going to do it. No, I'm going to stick around and I'm going to tell this story and I'm going to talk about my failures and I'm going to make sure you learn the fucking lesson. Because this cannot happen again.
Right. So
it cannot happen again.
What would, and I know we've talked about a lot and there's probably so much more we could discuss, but like for any of our other like law enforcement, first responders that are like struggling, not even like with any situation, like, I mean, you came out, I came out. I mean, for me, I had some different moments that kind of brought me out of my stuff, but like, what would you tell somebody that's like in those shoes, like having the worst moment or moments in their life? Like, what would you tell them, like, as words of wisdom?
I would tell them that there's a hell of a lot more to them than they think there is. And that when life cuts you open, it's up to you on whether or not you want to like sit there and bleed, or if you're going to take that opportunity to look inside yourself and see what you're made of.
Okay. I like it. What, so, and I'm trying to think of, so like so we've talked about the therapies, which what's the name of the place again?
Chateau Recovery.
Chateau Recovery in Midway, Utah, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Did your department give you any other resources? Like, I mean, EAP is absolutely like 5 sessions with those jokers doesn't do anything. Yeah. Like 5 sessions, you still don't even know if you like that therapist. I mean, to be honest, what, I guess if anything, like, did you get a therapist appointed to you? Because I'm sure you did like a work comp deal. Did they route you to therapy, or
yeah?
How did that go?
there's an organization in Colorado called Revital. And then there's also an organization called Code 4.
Okay.
And
I've heard of Code 4.
Code 4 is run by Nick and Sarah Metz. Nick is he's got tons of law enforcement experience, but his last law enforcement experience, he was the chief of Aurora for like a really long time.
Oh, wow.
And, Nick is like incredible. He actually wasn't even a like licensed therapist when my incident happened. And I had been introduced to Code 4 actually before that, because 2 months before the train crash, I had my first dead kiddo. And
oh, yeah, those suck.
yeah, that really fucked with me. So Fort Lupton directed me to Code 4. And
okay.
I need to talk to someone about this. So I was already in therapy with Code 4 when the train happened. But when it did, they decided to put me in Nick's hands. And I don't even know what I can say about Code 4. And Code 4 works directly with Revital. The guy
is Revital a nonprofit, or
Revital is Revital is a nonprofit. So Revital is run by a guy named Jordan Long. I don't remember exactly what department he worked for, but I know he's a former firefighter.
Okay.
And this organization that he runs is specifically for law enforcement and for first responders. And I do believe he also accepts military as well. And what he does is he sends these first responders on these outings, and all it is just to get you out of the house and get you out of your head. And you just go, and he pays for everything. He will take you fly fishing. He will take you horseback riding. He'll take you camping. He'll take you to go do sand volleyball. You could do
whatever just to get you out of the house and out of your mind for a little bit.
He has an app that you download, and you can just sign up for these events, and they're completely free. You just have to get yourself there. And
okay.
Lunch, and you meet with all these other first responders that may or may not be going through something, but it's just this camaraderie that is unlike anything I've ever seen. And and Jordan is an unbelievable dude. Like, he's just, the amount of compassion that guy has for his fellow man is something that I've never seen.
Awesome.
He's a really incredible person. And so I highly recommend that if there are any first responders going through something, to contact Jordan. Or just look up Revital.
Okay.
And then if you actually want to participate in some therapy, Code 4 is a great option as well. They either your department may already have a contract with Code 4, and you might not even know.
Okay.
Code 4 works for a ton of agencies. They're based out of, I believe, Jefferson County. Well, they're in Lone Tree.
Yeah, I can't remember if that's. Oh no, that would be. It's Castle Rock. It's Douglas County.
Yeah, so they're based out of there, but they work with all of those law enforcement agencies around there. So they may or may not have a contract with your department already. But they have several therapists. It's not just Nick, and it's not just Sarah, his wife. His wife is an actual licensed psychologist, and she's incredible as well. But those guys have the level of experience that you need when you're talking about shit that you go through as a first responder. And then they also have the actual therapy tools, because there's nothing worse than walking into a therapist's office and that person
who has no idea.
Yeah. And they have no idea. And you have to tell them about, these horrendous car crashes, fires, you name it, shootings, and then they're just like.
And the therapist looks just as like they get the fight or flight themselves with you telling your story.
Yeah, but it's different when you can talk to someone who, may or may not have gone through the same incident that you went through, or the same category of incident, but they still know what it's like to be a cop or a firefighter or a paramedic or an EMT. Or a dispatcher, like you name it, they'll take you, and they just want to help. They just want to keep first responders from fucking killing themselves.
Yeah.
And that is like, it's something so like sickening, but also so special to me, is like, I almost ended my life. I almost like punched my ticket, and I never in a million years want another person to feel that way.
Yeah, me too.
I can't sit here after going through what I went through and let another cop or another person who has dedicated their life to helping other people think that they're not worth helping.
And I think another stigma in there is like we kind of suffer in silence. Like you don't want people on your crew to think that like you're weak or that they can't rely on you. So you kind of have, sometimes in certain cases you have that suffering, but then like it's just, I look at, I look at it a little bit differently, and I'm kind of stuttering on this because I struggle with it. But I know, like, I have a lot of friends that say if you commit suicide, you're a coward. And maybe,
I could not agree more.
and I mean, the way that I look at it, though, too, is I'm like, what really broke that person? I mean, like, how much, like, hell did they go through in their mind? And, like, just feel like they were so buried and had nobody there for them or resources available. And it just, like, when I hear, like, we had that officer in North Glen just like last week, like, it's just so sad. I mean, because you have everybody around them, and I just,
Whenever
I don't
I
know.
hear someone say that when someone takes their own life that they're a coward, I know for a fact that that person has never been
That
to the
low in their
point where they
life
take their own life. Because do you have any idea how much gut you have to
to do that.
overcome every visceral thing your body is doing to try and stay alive? Because
Yeah.
our bodies will naturally protect themselves. Our bodies will naturally, our body wants to stay alive.
Yeah.
And the amount of grit that you have to overcome that and take that's I don't want to put some kind of I don't want to put it on a pedestal because that's not the way that it should be viewed. But at the same
No.
time, that is fucking guts.
Yeah.
That is like that's not cowardness. That's
Yeah.
you're
I,
a brave ass fucking person.
I think the most important thing, though, that like what got them to that point, like that's what I think, like my whole goal kind of was starting this is like national and state levels. Like I would like to see permanent funding for mental health professionals in law enforcement, like working in stations, working in fire stations. You know, if you have like a crappy call that day, you know, hey, I'm going to go hit up the therapist because I need to work some stuff out with this. And it's not sitting well. And it's better than, I mean, like us in the locker room changing and like all of that dirty, dark humor comes out and nothing really happens of it.
No. Yeah, we can't. I mean, that's how we cope in that moment. But then you go home at the end of the night. Like your partners aren't there when you go home at the end of the night.
Yep.
And you have to sit there with those thoughts and you have to question every move you made. And, could you have done more? Could you have saved whoever, lost their life? Could you have changed the outcome? And what we need a completely unbiased source to be able to look us in the eye and say, you cannot change that outcome.
Yep.
You not only could you have not changed it in that moment, you damn sure can't change it now because it happened and it is what it is. And it's okay to feel whatever you're feeling, but you have to get the fuck up because no one's coming.
Yeah. Rescue yourself.
You have to rescue yourself. And I think that sounds harsh, but it really is what it is because at the end of the night, it's just you.
Yeah. And your thoughts.
You and your thoughts. And, if you have a spouse, that's great. If you have a friend, that's amazing. And people have support systems and they still end their own lives every day. Mm-hmm. And it's, you can have all of the external support in the world, but we have to train ourselves to be stronger than what we experience. And we also have to look ourselves in the mirror and say, that wasn't my fault, but healing is my responsibility because I don't get to bleed on others just because I got cut. I went through that so much with how my trauma was manifesting and the anger that was coming out and, the people, God, the support system I have is just, I always refer to them as my army because I literally had an army behind me. I still do to this day. And those guys have just as much grit as I do, if not even more, because
they help pull you out of it.
Yeah. Hard to be around, man. Like I know I was so hard to be around. I was not a fun friend. I was not a fun girlfriend. I wasn't a fun mom. I wasn't a fun daughter. And and those people just they just must have seen something in me that maybe I didn't see. And it's incredible, but at the same time, those people will still tell me to this day, like, yeah, we were here for you and we loved being here for you, but you still put in the work.
Yeah. And I think,
decided to go to Chateau.
Yeah. Heck yeah. I'm sorry, I was interrupting. I had like a thought bubble going on there. I think like some people just don't realize like it doesn't have to be improvement by leaps and bounds. Like I got a t-shirt and I wear it all the time too. It just 1% better each day, and I don't even care if you can't give me 1%, just crawl a little bit further, give me like a tenth, a 0.5%, but make some kind of small positive improvement to help get your mind out of like those terrible deals.
Yeah. That pain that you feel, I mean, it sucks and it feels overwhelming and it feels like you're drowning, but at the same time, it means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing, you can still fight.
Right?
So
sorry, I made my wife stay out of the house because I didn't want our dogs going bananas during this. And she's like, can I come in? And I'm like, give me just a second. Jordan, thank you. I can't thank you enough. Thank you for being my first interview. Man, is there anything else that you would want to say to somebody like in the shoes that we had? Like, I mean, I know our circumstances were different, but like if somebody was in your shoes today, what would you tell them? Like it
just a little longer.
Okay. I like it.
Longer. And I will never not make myself available to someone who's going through that, and it isn't, we can make ourselves as available as possible, but at the end of the day, if someone's going through some shit, it's still their choice to reach out.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't even have the strength to do that, and I get it. I swear to God, no one gets it better than me, where you just cannot pick up the phone, you can't move.
Yeah, you have zero energy to reach out to folks.
Yeah, but it's the next second, and then the next 60 seconds, and then the next 60 minutes, and then the next day,
yes.
I swear to God, it gets better. I swear, even if it seems endless. Like I just went through 22 months of supervised probation where I went from being a cop to being treated like a criminal.
Yep.
And, I had to experience like walking into a probation office and, all of my information is just out there, and
right.
I had to submit to searches, and I had to, if I wanted to leave the county, I had to.
You got to give them a travel plan and itinerary and.
I love how you know that. It's a travel plan.
so
yeah, and
I've had family members in trouble, and we've had to set up those plans where, like, hey, this is where we're going on vacation. Can they go with us?
Yeah, and so going through that was brutal because it's not me. I'm not, I bled for this job. I almost died for this job. If I had stayed by that car for another minute and 3 seconds, I would have got hit by that train. And don't get me wrong, there are still times to this day. Like I'm healed, but I'm not, I'll never be the same. And I'm like, man,
you'd never be like the same person. You're broken, but you're still good.
Yeah.
As Stitch would say, broken, but still good.
And, I've thought to myself, like, man, I just wish the train would have hit me, and, my family could have mourned, and, they could have done a really cool funeral, and, but they would have been okay. But now I know.
Yep. Just hold on for one more day.
You hold on for one more day. You hold on for one more second, because that your circumstance, as bad as, circumstances can change for the bad like that, but they can also change for the good. There is always two roads. There's always two roads, and you can often choose which one you go down. So I just want people to know that are going through shitty stuff, and it doesn't even have to be a first responder. It just has to be anyone, that if you're on a shitty road, it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. But if you are in a position where you can't immediately change your circumstance, the longer you hold out, the better your chances are that it's going to get better. Yeah. But if you quit, you'll never know.
Yeah. That's the truth. Well, Jordan, I appreciate it. I know you had a big moving day today. You're getting everything done, and it's like what 9 o'clock almost, 10
Yeah,
forward and
almost
now.
there.
So, uh, I thank you so much. I greatly appreciate this. I hope you have a great evening. Uh, and like, I'll look forward to seeing you in Florida.
Yeah, let's hope I don't end up on the news again.
Oh, yes. Well, with all the sheriffs down there, who knows? You might end up on the news, but in a positive way with the way that
Yeah,
they do
let's hope
their
it's
PR
for a
stuff.
good reason. Yeah, but no, I do want to take a second to say I think you're doing an amazing thing with this. I think it is the most inspirational and the most courageous thing that you're making a purpose out of your pain.
Yeah. I think
And
it kind of taking my pain and everybody else's and showing others that like we can still survive
yeah, no,
and
we are
we can still be people.
again, yeah, like there's so much more to you than you think there is. So, but if you quit, you'll never know. So
Yes.
keep at it, and you're doing an amazing thing. I really think you're gonna really help some people. Like you spent, I don't know how long your law enforcement career was, but however long you spent helping people, and you're still doing it now, and I think that's the most admirable thing ever. So,
Well, I appreciate it.
I'm really proud of you, and I'm really grateful and honored to, even be able to participate in this.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jordan. I hope you have a great night, and I'll talk to you probably here soon. We should have it released on Sunday.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
I have a bunch of people wanting to hear it, so
Okay. Well, thank you, Jordan, and have a great night.
you too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.